Hey guys, Daniel here, welcome back from Motor Dan's Garage, and today I'm going to be doing a starter motor grease on my 2017 DR650. Now if you've ever gone to start your DR and it sounds like a cockerel, this is what you need to do to fix it. Now mine does it occasionally, it doesn't do it all the time, but every now and again it will make this noise. Mine's got about 28,000 Ks on it. There is a permanent fix for this, which is a Warp 9 rear starter motor cover replacement, and that's got a sealed bearing in there. From stock it's just a little, I think it's a brass bush that's in there, so it does need a bit of grease every now and again. So to remove the starter motor you technically have to remove the exhaust, the cam chain tensioner and the oil feed for the back of the head there. We're going to try and do it without touching any of that, and I've never done this before, so we'll see how it goes. So you can see the starter motor hiding in here. Now this is the end cap at the back here that we need to remove and grease up. We don't have to remove the whole starter motor for that, we can just get away with removing that end cap. We first want to remove these two bolts here. These two bolts here actually hold the starter motor in place, and they also hold the clutch cable. So we can remove those two bolts first, and then we can hopefully move the starter enough up to get the bolts out of the end cap. So they're two 8mm bolts. What I'm going to do is pull this rubber cap back on the clutch cable here, and then try and slide the clutch cable back a bit. So if we pull that out like that, that cable can then slide up and hook out of here. So I just pushed that to the side there and hooked it from there. That was a wee bit tight, but it wasn't too bad. Let's just pull the clutch cable right out of the way and then pull the bracket right out. So I'm leaving the clutch cable attached, but I'm just pulling it out of the way a wee bit. And you can see this now gives us access to the starter motor itself. And the starter motor will have a bit of movement now. We should be able to get those. I think they're 7mm. And before we take the next one out, I just want to put a mark on the starter motor, just so that I know it's going back in the same place. So I'm going to get something to mark it with. So you can see that mark that I've made there, just on the end cap and then on the actual body of the starter motor. Just so when we reassemble it, it all goes back in the same place. Now with that removed, we'll remove the final bolt that holds the end cap on. And we will just have to wiggle the starter motor just to get it out the hole a wee bit. So now I'm getting my hand in there, I'm just wiggling the cap back a wee bit from the actual starter motor body. I can pull the last bolt out and hopefully get this end cap out. She is close. Right, it's definitely not going to work like this. You probably could get out there, but I don't think it's going to be worth it. I'm going to end up damaging something. The only thing that's stopping it is the banjo line, the oil feed line, so I'm just going to remove that. So we want to take out this banjo line here, which should be a 14. There may be a wee bit of oil that comes out of here. So I've just got a rag here, just in case. Now just make sure you don't lose the two silver washers. So now I want to remove the banjo at the top of the head, the 17mm one. Two copper on the top and two alloy on the bottom. you should be okay to reuse them, but just have to see how it goes. Alloy ones generally don't reuse that very well, but certainly copper ones do. It should hopefully let me get the rear cover off. And it does. Would you look at that? Now there is a wee shim in there on the back of the start motor there. Just right there. Make sure that stays there, you don't drop it. Mine has stayed on the starter motor, so that is perfectly fine. And what basically is happening is that shaft here is spinning round and it runs in here. It's not a bearing, it's just like must be a brass bush possibly, or some kind of metal bush, and it runs in there. When it gets dry, it squeals. Like I said, Warp 9 do a complete rear starter motor replacement unit, which comes with a sealed bearing in there, which would be probably the 100% fix for this, but this is, as you've seen, fairly easy to do. I'm just going to slap some grease in there, and away we go. What I'm going to do now is actually remove the whole starter motor. One main reason, really, and that is because there is a drain hole in the crankcase, just at the bottom of the starter motor, for water to get out, and that's bad for blocking up. So I just want to remove the starter motor and make sure that's clean. If it's not, clean it out, then we can put the starter motor back in. Now with the back cover off the starter motor, we can get the starter motor out of this hole without stripping anything else. Apart from obviously the power lead there. Now motorcycles aren't like cars, they've got separate starter relays, so you are safe to take this off with the battery still connected. There's no power here. I think I'm just going to completely remove that oil line, to be honest. So there's only one other banjo that holds it on, just on the other side here. Another 12mm. And we should be able to get that whole oil line out. Cool. Which then should allow the starter motor just to pull straight out the back of the hole. And it does. Cool. Down that bottom corner there, that's the drain hole for the starter motor. What happens when that gets blocked is that whole area there just pulls with water, and then you corrode the bottom of your starter motor and potentially short it out. Mine's fairly clean, but that was obviously cleaned out when I did the engine rebuild, so that is to be expected. I will give that a clean out, get all that mud out there before I put it back in. You don't have to worry about the front of the starter motor, because that is the front half of the starter motor is lubricated by engine oil, so you don't have to worry about lubricating that half. Right, so we're going to get our grease now. Nothing flash here, just some Castrol's premium heavy duty grease. Probably get some high temp grease, it may be slightly better than this, but to be honest it's not a big issue. And this is probably one of the cases where less is more. Just a little bit. Like so. Now you may see people, I've seen a couple of people drill holes in here, and then they can put wee drops of oil in there or put a grease nipple on there. But to be honest, this is the first time I've ever done this, and my bike's got almost 30,000 k's on it. If I was going to do this again, it'd probably take me like half an hour. I'd rather not have the chance of getting dirt or putting too much lubrication in there, which can also cause more harm than good. Really for half an hour's work. So reinstall is basically just the reverse. I'm going to try and not move that front cover, just so, because I've just got the gasket sitting pretty nice on there. My rear gasket fell off again, so I need to slide that back on. Right, to get these bolts back in, I'm just going to pull this back casing just off and tilt it a wee bit. Get the first bolt started and put the case back on, making sure that my gasket's still in the correct place. Make sure your marks are all lined up, which they are. Get the bolt started. Gasket looks okay. Covers on, marks are lined up. I'll just nip this one bolt up just so it holds the starter motor together, because I need to pull the starter motor out of the whole unit to get to the bottom one. Pop the whole starter motor back there, just to be able to lift it up a wee bit to get into the bottom bolt there. And we can get this one started and tightened up. Just nip them up evenly. And you don't need to go mental here, just a nip up. I always just use my stubby ratchet, as you know. You can't really over tighten things with that. Push the starter motor back home. Tighten up the top bolt fully. And cool. Right, so now we can just put on the clutch cable again. Refit that. Put on the guide. Remembering about the earth strap on this side. And again, just a little nip up. I'll put this rubber collar back on here. Before we go any further, I'll just pull the clutch, make sure it works properly. Perfect. Can now stick on the hose. Just remember your banjo washers. These banjos, you don't want to go mega tight on them, just a wee nip. There we go, and all that's left is the actual starter cable. Again, don't go mad with this. And pull your rubber boot back over. Right, so we just want to crank her over now, just make sure everything sounds okay. I'm not going to start her because I don't have the gas tank on her. Right, that sounds pretty damn good. I'd call that a success. That was fairly straightforward, as you've seen. If I was to do it again, I would take that oil line off straight away, and then I wouldn't have any issues, and I would be done in like a quarter of the time. I don't feel it's necessary to take the exhaust or the cam chain tensioner off, as the repair manual would have you suggest. That wasn't hard at all. Yeah, that's super simple to do. So if you've got a noisy starting motor, certainly do this, and that should cure it. The only thing I will do now is, once I've given her, got the tank back on, give her a quick drive, just double check those banjo washers on the oil line. As I said, I have had issues with especially the aluminium ones before, so I'll definitely be checking that, and if they do leak, I'll get new ones. Right guys, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time. See you later.